computer. Okay. So I made a boo-boo yesterday and I forgot to record our whole session. um, and quarantine brain, I suppose, because I've just been like making like this silliest, like, I forgot what Sunday Easter was this week. I forgot, like, I put both my Wednesday and my Thursday schedule. I thought they were both on the same day because I like created a new day in which all the things for Wednesday and Thursday happen on both days. Um, so I'm sorry, but what I'd like to do to kind of kick off is maybe do a little review of some of the things that, like, just a high level review of things that came up yesterday, because I think they're applicable, even though yesterday was more like if you're just starting a business, and today this was kind of like if you already have a business. But I think they're really applicable to the chat around pivoting right now and kind of like what you need to know, like what's going to work right now in this environment. And then while I'm chatting, what I would like to do is have each and every one of you introduce yourself in the chat and just say, hey, what your name is, where you're from, a sentence or two about what your business is, what you do, who you serve, and kind of if you came here tonight with any burning question for me or multiple burning questions for me, that's cool. I want you to put that all in the chat box. One, so you guys can all get to know each other. And two, so I can get to know you quickly after I talk and we can get to everybody's burning questions in the hour. So, so first things first, we are in some, crazy ass times, right? This is, we're going through something that no one has gone through before, right? And so, and all of us are going through it collectively. So one of the most important things I think everyone needs to know right now is that you can't pretend what's happening is not happening, right? And so this is something that I'm seeing certain people do, and it's not going to work. I'm seeing people do this kind of in like the wellness and the coaching field, and I understand what they're trying to do, but the truth is that you're not going to sound in touch to your audience if you're like not, like, I'm not saying any of us should be pretending that we're like coronavirus experts or we're like quarantine experts or anything like that, but you should be putting your current business, whatever that is, and you guys better be introducing yourself in the chat, just saying, you got to put what you're currently doing through the lens of what's going on right now, right? So whether that's like, if you're, let's just use the example of a nutritionist right now. If, let's say, your typical thing was that you would be teaching women how to lose weight and you would give them these like smoothie plans, I'm just making stuff up right now, right? Then what you can still own your expertise, own that that's your thing, right? But maybe you're applying to like, hey, I know a lot of people are struggling to try to figure out nutritious things to eat while they're at home right now. Here are some easy, simple breakfasts that I love, right? So it's not like you're necessarily like talking about the thing, but you're acknowledging it, and then you're sharing your gift and how it relates to helping people in this time. And so that's going to be what really resonates with people. If you just try to start giving the content that you were giving before this without any context of what's going on in the world, people are going to feel weird about it, is the best way to say it, right? And so they're not going to be able to fully hear you, which I think is an important thing to just point out. The good news, the positive news that I want to share with all of you guys is that, hey, like, online entrepreneurs are needed more than ever. Soul-centered online, I call them kind of like miracle workers, medicine workers, light makers, right? Like, this is a time where we can serve more than ever, and this climate is actually really, in a way, it's going to have an effect where people are getting more used to the things a lot of us were already doing, right? So I don't know all of you, which is why I'm excited to get to know more of you guys in the chat and hear about your businesses. But my guess is that a lot of you already had online-based businesses. Maybe some of you are doing Zoom sessions or online workshops and all of this stuff, right? And so what is going on in a mass level right now is that people are getting used to ingesting the kind of content that a lot of you may have already had a platform for giving, right? So they're going to be even more comfortable with attending your online workshops, more comfortable doing Skype calls or Zoom calls. So that's really good. And you guys have a little bit of a leg up on the competition because you've already been paying attention to this space, right? When a lot of people that had brick and mortar businesses that are now all pivoting to be online are still kind of figuring out some of the ins and outs of it. That being said, as these times happen, one of the other things we talked about was that what people are willing to spend money on is going to shift, right? And so we need to be conscious of presenting what we're presenting even more than ever in a way that is something that we feel our target client, our core customer, is really going to see as a necessity right now, right? As something they really need help with, as something that's really going to be of high service to them, because their bar is going to be a little bit higher than it was before, right? People are, as a whole, and I'm not saying this is everyone, if you serve like a super luxury VIP clientele, this is not going to affect them because most of them are not affected, right? But for the majority of us that serve kind of, let's say, like the middle normal, I don't know if that's a made up name I said, but like, you know, the average person with a sliding scale of anywhere from being like, you know, let's say like middle class. I don't know if they even use those terms anymore, right? But the kind of that kind of person, they're going to be a little bit more discerning about what they're spending money on right now. And they're going to ask myself, do I really need this? Is this really going to help me? And so your communication around how your product or service is going to help them is going to need to be a little bit more ninja right now. A little bit more, and I don't say like ninja in like, you know, a sneaky way. It's going to need to be more clear than ever for them. Like you're gonna have to like chop through kind of like all the, and I say this because I know I attracts like, so maybe not all of you, but I know some of you may be like me where you're a bit spiritual and flowery, and I could talk in metaphors all day if I want and no one would understand what I said, other than my like little core group of people that just like get my fairy language or whatever. And so we're gonna really need to like break it down for people so that they have a really clear idea of how we can help them with their very apparent, like whatever their pain situation is going on right now. And so all of your medicines, without even knowing all of your medicines right now, I can tell you that all of your medicines are absolutely so relevant and useful. But what's gonna happen is you're gonna have to make sure that you're speaking to it in the right way. Does everyone get that? Okay, good. I like seeing your little seeing people, so good. So the other things that I just want to share off the cuff is, again, around your offerings. People are overwhelmed right now, right? I'm sure a lot of you might be overwhelmed right now. I'm overwhelmed sometimes. Whenever I go on my social media feeds, I'm like, I look at people and I'm like, oh my God, everybody's like, feels like they're vomiting content out right now. And so that you got to imagine your clients are, if you're feeling that, your clients are also feeling that, right? Probably even more so than you, because you might have more tools than them. And so you want to give them less options, and you want to hold their hand tighter, right? So what that means is you might not want to offer your whole smorgasbord of services right now, right? Because people are overwhelmed and decision fatigued enough during the day trying to figure out all this stuff. They want it to be like, oh, okay, she knows who I am. She knows what I'm struggling with, or he knows. They know what I'm struggling with. They get me, and they have the solution, and they know exactly what the solution is. So I think you're going to see if you present one or two options right now. And I say one or two because you could have, you could either have one option depending on what your services are. And that's why I'll start reading. If anyone hasn't shared with their business and what's going on with them in the chat or any pressing questions, do that right now. I'll start reading them in a little bit. But right now, so if you have one kind of like middle of the road option, that's fine. That's probably the strongest. If you have two options, like just what I've been doing right now is I have two options. So I have my one-on-one coaching, which is a more VIP option that most people are not. You're going to have to be at a certain level of readiness and a certain level of openness and activation to say yes to my one-on-one coaching. And then I have an online course, right? That's going to be a more accessible price, right? It's not super cheap. Doesn't mean everyone should offer everything for free. Absolutely. I don't agree with that. But you should have a target option that feels affordable to the right person, right? Affordable for whoever your target client is and what their income is and what the service is, obviously. So that's going to vary depending on you. So I would say if a lot of you guys do that, you could have the VIP and the accessible, or you just have the one for everyone, right? That's going to help your people so much right now. And it's going to help you get more people, because then all of your roads lead to Rome, right? All roads lead to your signature offering, right? And so the kind of content that you're creating, whatever you're doing for free, if you are doing like IG lives for free, I'm doing like this stuff. I'm like doing free stuff right now because I personally feel better when I'm being of service. So it makes me happy when I get to hop on this, and I dork out talking about all this stuff. So why not meet new faces and chat about it? But I also feel good about it because I already have my options in place, right? So if anybody wants to work with me, if anybody wants to do that, then they'll find me in whatever way they find me, and then they can take advantage of them, right? So it's important to have your options in place. That was a big thing we talked about yesterday. Have those things that people can pay you for, whatever your core services, in place before you start spending your days on IG Live or offering all this free stuff, right? Make sure you have like the ways that you can receive and the ways that you can serve people at that high level, so that there's a place. Because then once you have those, you'll notice there's also an energy shift around that, right? When you have ways that people can, go to that next level with you or have whatever your thing is, then doing free stuff feels really good. It feels like great, because I'm just like, every time I do free stuff, every time I go on IG Live or whatever, post a thing on Instagram, it's like, who knows what magical person is going to get activated by that and go on the little thing where they maybe like stalk me or stalk my website. We've all done that to other people, right? And I know I've certainly worked with a lot of people in that way, where they just say one thing on one thing and it hits something, and I'm like, oh my God. And like 10 minutes later, I'm like neck deep in all their Instagram, and then I'm like signing up for their free thing. And then before you know it, I'm like, and so when you already have all that set up, then it feels really good for you to just be like, oh, let me pop on IG Live and talk about this, or let me share this free meditation or free whatever it is or whatnot. And then same thing about growth. We talked a little bit about, and that's the last thing I'll do of my reminder, why not, before I get into your things. But we talked a lot about growing social media yesterday. There was a lot of questions about that. And that's the other thing that we can get into that if people here are interested in that too. But before you go into kind of like those growth tactics of things, you just want to make sure you have the foundation that when people find you, because people, that's kind of like the bright and shiny distraction, right? People are like, oh, I just want that number to be bigger, right? And we're human, we've all been there, so there's no shame in that. but the truth is that you could have that number grow, but if you have no, I call it like a bucket, so to speak, right? If you have no bucket to catch the water, right? Then like the water's just going all over the floor and it's really a waste, right? So if you don't have any bucket, if you don't have like a free guide to get someone's emails or a free video, or whatever, to like get someone into your community and like welcome them into your space, share about who you are. if you don't have a product that you're offering at the end of that journey, then you have no bucket to hold people. And going out there and spending an hour every day and commenting on people's posts, answering people's questions, going on IG Live, doing all of this, it's really great and all. You're doing a great service for people, but it's not actually going to help grow your business. And you have this is another important thing we said yesterday that I think is worth noting. You have a unique opportunity in that moment when someone new follows you, right? Because you've all been there. You follow someone, you decide you're going to follow someone that you just found, and you're like, okay, I'm going to follow this person. They seem cool. And in that moment, you have that, probably more so than any other moment with them, you're more likely to stalk their website, look at what you have, you like do a little intel on them as you're going. And so if we have that time where we can, if we have everything set up, right? Someone once said this to me. I went to a conference, and I remember when I first started my business, it's going to be 7 years ago now, I think, when I went to this conference, but we were talking about mailing lists and like getting people on your mailing list. And I was like having a really hard time. I was like the youngest person at my table, this like little entrepreneur conference. And I was like, I don't like this mailing list thing. I feel like we're just trying to like trick people to give us their emails. Right. And they were like, Cass, like, think about it as like, you are the owner of a community, right? Like, and this like changed the game for me. It was like, think about this, like you are the owner of a community, like the Cassandra world. You own Cassandra World, right? And someone decides they want to visit Cassandra World. Are you like when you go to like Disney World or Disneyland, I don't know if you guys have been there, right? You get a map, right? You get your ticket, you sign in, and there's like a bunch of maps. Sometimes the guy even hands you a map, right? And the map, if you didn't have the map, you just kind of walk around aimlessly and try to find things and figure it out. But when you have the map, then the map says, okay, well, here's Adventureland, and here's Futureland, and here are all the rides, and like, here's what each ride is, When someone enters into your community or your world, by them signing up for some email thing or them going to your website, both should feel like a little guide to say, hey, hey, Kim, welcome to Cassandra community. Here's where you can start. Here's a good place to start right now, right? This is a good thing for you to read. And then maybe another day later, 2 days later, I'm like, hey, Kim, I hope you liked reading that. If you're still looking for something else to do, here's a meditation I really like. Hey, Kim, did you like X, Y, and Z or whatever? Well, here's the next way you can, maybe you want to do my meditation course or whatever it is, right? You're kind of just lovingly guiding them. So if they are interested in what you're doing, you're showing them the way down the path. And if they're not, then they won't sign up for it. And that's fine. They're not your people. Okay, so that's the end of my little spiel. If you haven't introduced yourself, or if you have any other burning questions that have come up, put them in the chat. I'm just going to go through. I'm Christy. Hey, Christy. I'm just pivoting to more soul-aligned work. I was on the call yesterday, and I got my burning question answered, so I'm just here to listen and absorb the ideas. Woo, woo. Thank you, Christy. Caitlin, I was on the call yesterday, and I'm here in the beginning stage of business, so I'm here to listen to the conversation. Yay. Good job, Caitlin, for popping on, because I think it'll be an interesting perspective, too, to see people that already have their businesses and what their questions are, too. Tammy. Hi, I'm Tammy from Lawrence, and I have a newly started health and wellness business. The same as Christy, I'm here to absorb wonderful ideas. Love it, Tammy. Let me know if any other questions come up. Hi, I'm Kim from Saskatoon, Canada. I probably mispronounced that, but I am the co-founder of the Life is Worth Living Way. We offer mental health services. We are looking to create programs, podcasts, and still open and learning to navigate these new times. I'm also a shareholder and partner of the Canadian Institute of Integrating Nursing Development and Education. As a registered nurse, our focus is on self-care for nurses, and something we feel is, we need more than ever. Currently, we are offering courses, but are constantly looking to expand and spread our message. I love this. Kim, Life is Worth Living needed so much more. I don't want to go down the dark hole here, but suicide rates are even higher than corona rates right now, and no one is talking about it. Okay. So that, yes, good work. And if there's anything I can support you with that, please do let me know. As well as with the other thing, I love this. One of the things I actually just got off with my friend who works at the Stanford Hospital in by San Fran, and I'm going to record meditations for all of their nursing department to help them manage the anxiety right now and what they're going on. So I think that's like beautiful work. And if there's any thoughts you have around that, I'm happy to also offer services there. But also that could also be a unique opportunity for you guys to look for some partnerships right now, going to like your favorite wellness leaders and whatnot. I think right now is also a unique opportunity where something like that, where you can give someone the opportunity to be of service to that particular group. You could probably get, I would say, almost anyone you dream of to record something for you or send you some materials that would be useful right now. So that could be something to mull on. Also, you can get more publicity for either of them right now, right? If you engage someone in that positive conversation, right? Because people right now, and we just talked about this because I have a miracle mastermind that I do in a Course in Miracles group. And we were talking about how so many of us are feeling like we're not doing enough, right? That's like a big collective feeling right now where we feel like, what can I do to help? What can I do to help here? And so you be helping a lot of people feel like they can be of service right now, big and small, right? Because here's the thing, even big, quote unquote, big people, right? Like people that we think are famous or we look up to, right? Are also feeling that call to try to be of more service right now and to try to help. So if you can get someone like that engaged in doing something good and sharing about raising awareness for either of your organizations, I think that's a really good opportunity right now. Hannah, I'm starting a well-being business for primary school teachers. I have workshops and clients ready, which is exciting. I'm currently negotiating with guest experts to be part of these workshops, and any negotiating tips would be useful. Ooh, yeah, this is like more of an advanced question. I love this. When you take on a client and you don't wish to, also a good question. When you take on a client and you don't wish to continue working with them, how do you navigate this process? Okay. Hannah, so pop on, if you wouldn't mind, and give me a little bit more detail into what the negotiation is looking like and specifically what your goal is around negotiation.
Okay, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Yeah, so I have been approached to run some workshops, which is really, really exciting. Except I've recognized that being a teacher, I can tell my story, but it's important to have sort of guest experts to relate to each of the topics. So I'm in the minute of negotiating with a clinical nutritionist to come on to help teachers with their health. And it's going perfectly fine. I had a plan for what I wanted her to do in the workshop, but since talking to her, that plan has sort of pivoted and changed, and I'm trying to figure out how to sort of redirect the plans into a bit of a different direction. So originally I wanted to have her actually be at the workshop, but I'm recognizing now that it might be more beneficial for her to actually just record content for me that I could actually sort of adapt and use within the workshop, sort of just to save costs, and also to be able to technically maybe use that content in the future. So I'm sort of just navigating release forms and things like that. So it's all just a whole new process, and I'm not the type of person who's very good at confrontation. Not that it's not confrontational at all, but I also tend to give more than, what I should give in sort of those sort of negotiations. So I'm just trying to figure out, is there a bit of a process around how much information to share, how much to keep to yourself? I just prefer to be sort of open and organic, but I know that that is part of it, but perhaps there's areas that I sort of need to guard myself a little bit with.
Is it a financial question that you're worried about, or is it just about changing the game plan of how she delivers the content?
Probably more the second one, but I suppose a little bit of finances, because I've never negotiated before, so I don't exactly know sort of like percentages to offer people, or whether it's just one-off payments, things like that. So,
well, here's the thing. It's funny. So I have actually have a whole module on this in my like Spread Your Light course, because this was like a big thing. Because so just to translate this for other people who might not be in that similar situation, this applies to like if you're working with brands, if someone's asking you to speak, anytime they're kind of going back and forth on like someone creating content for someone, right? And so on one thing, absolutely, when it comes to legality, I know in the US, but I'm sure you could access it from the web there's something called the Freelancers Union. And the Freelancers Union, I think without even being a part of the Freelancers Union, you can download all of their contracts. And they have all different kinds of contracts for things like that. They're super helpful. You can also usually for most contracts, Google like typical video release form, right? That's how I did a lot of the things before I had a business lawyer, where I literally would just Google like the typical contract for it, like copy and paste it, read through it, and adjust things that make sense to you, right? So if you're going to have them on video or whatever, adjust it so it makes sense to your thing, but just find the typical thing. If the person that you're working with is like a reputable person, they'll probably recognize the languaging of it and like not think twice about it, you know? But I do think it's always important to cover your bum with legals, because you just don't want to deal with like, it's too much. It protects everybody involved, right? Everybody feels safer if there's a contract, because you have a mutual agreement here. So don't ever worry about contracts. If someone gives you a problem with a contract, and this goes for everybody around anything, client, anyone, like be like, bye, Felicia, right? If someone gives you a problem with a contract, right? Because that's just like a horrible sign, right? And there's not like, yeah. So that's one. When it comes to money and stuff, I think there's a few things. One, you have to be honest about what your budget is. If you have a budget, you have to be honest up front. I think being honest from the get-go is the best way to go. When you're on that side, when you're on the side of like paying someone, right? Like come at me from the get-go and say like, listen, I don't have a big budget, right? And if you don't have a big budget, and that's something starting out, and it kind of the reverse of this happens too, you have to realize that there are other things valuable than money. Okay, so things that are valuable are audience, like potential clients, percentages, right? So there's all these kind of like different ways that can equate to profits. So the first outright one is money, right? So someone might have a speaker rate, you might have a rate. You should do your own budget and literally decide how much you could pay someone. And then you can decide if there are certain people you're willing to pay more because because their value around the event is greater. So maybe they're either higher expertise in their field. Maybe they'll agree to promote the event for you on their social channels or their mailing list, and they bring with them a lot of people power, and that would be valuable to you. So you kind of want to look at the value on both people's side, without money, right? Like who's bringing the expertise, who is potentially filling the seats, what are their other, like, is there exposure benefits, is there brand association benefits with that, right? Then you get a really clear picture of what the situation is. Because one of the things that, let's say I've had people negotiate with me where they say they don't have a big budget but they want me to appear at their event, and they'll say, hey, listen, we want you to talk at the event, like we just love you, the values you, we don't have a big budget. So if you're willing to come and just give us X amount of your time, that's all we ask for. And so what that means is that I don't have to promote the event at all, right? I don't have to share about it. I don't have to do my list about it, whatnot, right? And so for me, I could be willing perhaps to take a lower price if that's not part of the deal, right? Because a portion, not all of my value, obviously, but a portion of my value does come if you're going to make me sell tickets, right? Because I can give access to a larger group of people. If I'm going to have to post about your brand, I'm giving you that value, right? So you can kind of think about both values, both like your value and their values, and the different things that could equate to monetarily. And then you're just honest and transparent about your pitch. The cool thing about the online business world is that this is the Wild West. It's literally the Wild West. Anything goes. So there are people that you look out there, like, I don't know, name who, like, you can think of whoever you admire, right? Whoever's book maybe you read and you're like, this changed my life. I guarantee you they've done some stuff for free, right? And I guarantee you they've done some stuff for thousands of dollars and everywhere in between. And so a lot of it is like a unique opportunity. You just have to be really clear on your end, whether you're, and this goes for everybody, if you're on the negotiating end of, let's say, Hannah's trying to get me to speak at her event, I'm going to speak at her event, both of us have to be clear on feeling that there's a mutual value at every stage of the game. When one of us feels like they're getting the shift, that's when it's not going to work, right? So what you can do on either end, whether you're on Hannah's end or you're on the other end, is be sure to present your value, right? Present, like, what do you bring to the table, right? What do you bring the expertise? What, you know, what knowledge do you bring? What do you bring as far as, you know, content or whatever, if that's going to be part of the deal? What do you bring as far as audience goes? All the different levels of what you bring to the table, all the different levels of what this other person or brand or whatever it is going to bring to the table. And then once you see that, then the monetary discussion is going to be one about budget, right? And that's kind of where it starts. And so I think you need to know from a clear point of view. I would say if you're on the opposite side of this, if you're a speaker or someone that's negotiating with someone, I always say, try to get them to tell you their budget first, right? Because if they tell you their budget, then you kind of know what you're working with. A lot of people know that, so they won't do it. But if they ask you to give your number first, don't be afraid to inflate it. Don't be afraid to give a high number, because it's a lot easier. And on the other side, don't be afraid if someone throws at you a high number. Don't be afraid to go back and say, this is the max of my budget. I can't even tell you how many times that's happened to me. And people worry about not giving the number they want or the number that they, whatever, because they think people are just going to like count them out or whatever. I would say 9.9 out of 10 times, people will just email you back and say, hey, here's the realness. This is the max amount of money I could spend on you. This is like the other value I can bring to the table to try to compensate for the other things that I can't spend on you. Is that helpful, Han?
Yeah, thank you. That's really good.
Just make sure you feel good with it, you know, because it doesn't matter how much you love the person. If you feel kind of icky about the agreement, it's worth finding someone that you just feel better about it with, right? And vice versa, I would tell you, right? Even if you love the brand or the thing, if in your, you know, intuition, you feel icky about it, it doesn't feel like honoring, then just a no-go.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you.
Yay. Shannon in NYC, I'm a facialist, and I just opened, literally just opened my own practice here in the city. Fortunately, I already began to consider some online offerings, so I have a fast forwarded on that plan. Also starting a master's in nutrition on Monday. Oh man, I'm sorry, Shannon, that is frustrating. I can imagine. I know you didn't ask for any advice, but I'm just going to say, I think if you have any products that you affiliate for, if you have your own products, I don't know. I think that's a great way to go right now. I think offering perhaps FaceTime sessions where you walk women through a DIY facial, maybe it's at a discounted price, obviously, since you're not using all of your stuff, but that could be a great way to maybe meet some potential customers that will come to you. And for people that, you know, are like big facial people, they might really love that as a nice little self-care treat practice right now. And then you can turn them into higher paying clients when it goes over, and just giving out maybe like other fun little tips of ways you can give facials. I mean, I think that the fun thing here is that it's forcing all of us to be a little creative. Amanda in LA, I run a jewelry business. I I usually wear, I'm like quarantine kind of minimalist right now, but I usually wear, for you guys that see me on Instagram, I usually have that, I think it's a hexagon little quartz crystal. That's actually from Amanda's jewelry line. She does beautiful crystal jewelry. I love so much, and I've always felt so lucky to do what I do, but this is something so crazy and has really thrown me for a loop. I've been sharing more about tools that I love to work with more than my jewelry as far as content creation or being creative. Okay, well, Amanda, I know you. Amanda's been in my community here in LA, and we did a program together as well. Divine You, Chrissy was on that program too. Some of you guys were there. Um, I think you have a lot to give. You have a lot to give as far as your advice and your wisdom, and you have a lot to share. So I think that's really beautiful, like to be the face of your company right now and to share those tips and tools as you feel inspired to. But I also think people love, like, I don't know, I want to say talismans. I don't know if that's the correct way of using that word right now, but having like for me, I got Amanda's necklace when I was teaching meditations on a retreat in Bali. She had designed them for the leader of the group, and that's how I had gotten it. And I wear it, and when I wear it, it reminds me of like that moment, like being in Bali, teaching meditations on a retreat, like living my dharma, living my purpose, you know, being in that transformational space and being able to be a teacher. And it reminds me of so many different things, right? And I think jewelry really does that for people. And so I think right now, like, you could be sharing, maybe you have a crystal that you think helps people through massive transition times. Maybe you have calming crystals that can help people. I wouldn't be scared to share about your jewelry or sell right now. I know your prices, and your prices are completely, like, I think they're very accessible. Um, and so I wouldn't be scared to sell right now. I wouldn't be scared if you feel inspired to create a couple necklaces specifically around this situation that you think would be helpful with different properties, or share about certain things that you already have, that you're like, hey, I have this ring that's made with malachite, and this would be great for right now if you're feeling X, Y, and Z. Because when people are going through transitional times, which we're all collectively going through right now, um, oftentimes they do love having that piece that they can say, okay, this is like this is going to be like my grounding strength, right? They want that crystal medicine. I think was already so much part of a lot of the consciousness of the spiritual community, that if you can share a little bit more about the different crystals and how you're using them in your jewelry, and how that combination relates to, you know, something someone might be moving through right now, I think please, 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 please share. Because I really do think that there are people that want that. I know for myself, I've always been someone that's had like jewelry with a meaning. And so, in a lot of like times when I've going through hard times, I would buy a piece of jewelry for myself, and that would kind of be my anchor of something that symbolized an intention to me of getting through it in a powerful way. So please, 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 your jewelry is so beautiful. Victoria. Hi everyone, my name is Victoria and I'm in Portland, Oregon. I have a biz with my partner called The Scales of the Goat, which has a few different parts. Well, so that we sell sustainably harvest Palo Santo bundles. We've been selling wholesale to small biz, which has of course drastically slowed down, and Palo Santo essential oil. I am also a tarot reader, and I'm trying to figure out how to build up an online clientele. I am reading at a shop here in Portland. So we're figuring out how to pivot to sell directly to people from website, and also how to work with clients in the online sphere for tarot card readings. I love this. Yeah, I think you're doing the right thing as far as the pivot, allowing people to buy your Palo Santo right now, sharing about different rituals right now that people can use it for, right? Teach people how to use it, how it's going to clear their space, how it's going to help ground them, how it's going to feel good. It's going to also increase your sales around that. And as far as like setting up the back end of your site, like keep it as simple as possible. Like, you know, I don't know if you're on Squarespace, Wix, or WordPress, but Squarespace, Wix have just like literally templates you can sell on. WordPress, you can do Shopify. Even if you have like a more coded site, if it's giving you too much trouble, literally set up a Squarespace page for like 12 bucks a month just for the shop and sell through it right now. There's lots of things like that. I would just say keep it simple. As far as tarot card readings, I think that's going to be what we talked about in the beginning. I love how like a lot of you guys didn't ask questions. I'm just giving your opinion, so I hope it's okay. Um, the tarot card readings goes back to kind of what we talked at the beginning of the call. It's all going to be with how you sell it, right? It's all going to be how you frame it. And so just like saying like, get a tarot card reading might not be as attractive as it was 6 months ago. But if you're saying like, hey, I bet a lot of you are feeling really lost. Maybe you want some guidance right now. Maybe you want to know, what's your next step career-wise if you lost your job, or maybe you want to know if you should be putting more energy into your passion project. Maybe you and your partners have been having a lot of struggles living in quarantine, you're fighting or whatever. People are going through a lot. People are dancing with their shadows right now. They're like literally locked in the closet, like doing Mortal Kombat with their fears. And you can help them. You can help them, give them a little light, give them a little inspiration, give them a little guidance. And I think if you can offer, I've been seeing a lot of people doing this right now, but I don't think it's a bad idea where people that do tarot are offering pretty low cost entry level readings. It's maybe like, I'll pull one card for you for like 30 bucks or something like that to get new people in, because that's one of those things like coaching or psychics or any of that, right? Or Reiki or anything like that. When someone has that experience with you, they know you 1,000 times more just in like those 15 minutes, those like 20 minutes. They have like a very like a stronger experience. So they could be a returning customer. That's an option for you to do if you want to increase your clients right away and get people to taste test you, because it's a I think low hanging fruit like that is going to do really well right now, where people are not going to be thinking too much twice about spending like 15, 20 bucks on stuff. And especially if there's a chance that it can provide them with peace. And then you can always have a higher ticket offering that you can, maybe even once you get them on the call, you can say, hey, if after the first card or 15 minutes or whatever, you enjoy what you hear, or you want to keep going, this is how much an hour session is or whatnot. There's my unsolicited advice around that. I am Carla. I live in New Jersey. Hi, Carla. I have online courses, Cook and Chop Online Cooking School, More Than Salad, Unfold Mastermind to Transform Your Health. With the cooking school, I am doing major pivot towards pantry cooking, preserving the food you have, and how to shop. I am also offering free wellness accountability in my Insta and Facebook group to support my mastermind. I love that. I'm here to learn. Okay. My just like intuitive sense on this, Carla, is that I just want to tell you to like, don't be afraid to like ask people to go further with you. Don't be afraid to offer your services. I feel like you're probably putting it out there. You're probably offering a lot of free, awesome stuff. Don't be afraid to keep reminding people like, hey, if you want to take it a next step, you can go to my online cooking school. Hey, if you want to take it a next step, you can go to my mastermind. I think another way also right now is like really getting personal with your Insta and Facebook group and what's going on with them, so that once again, like when you really understand, then you can kind of place them where they would be most helped in your services. But yeah, that's what you say. Yay! Good, Carla. You did that today. Keep it up. And here's the thing. Don't be afraid. Oh, 50% of your proceeds are going to Grow NYC to help set. Okay, and you should be singing that from the rooftops too. Don't be afraid. I notice this a lot with a lot of light workers. You guys are super shy about talking about things sometimes. Like you should be singing it from the rooftops that 50% of your proceeds are going to Grow NYC. Singing it from the rooftops, the benefits of someone like doing this, utilizing this time to figure out how to cook or take care of their health. Again, talking about how it's relevant in this situation. I love that you're doing pantry cooking right now because it's what a lot of people are doing. It's great. I think that's great. Just don't be shy. Yes. Okay. I've had a lot of guilt about asking people to spend money on jewelry, but I've had friends and customers reach out to buy gifts for people with the crystals that I work with. I'm trying to figure out a balance with this struggle and tentativeness to sell. Ooh, yes. Okay. A lot of people are feeling weird about selling right now. And here's the thing. I mean, obviously I could say like, don't, but what you're offering is a service. So what you need to do, and even your jewelry, Amanda, is a service, right? All of what you're offering is medicine. It's someone's medicine, right? And so you not showing up fully to communicate what your medicine is and how they can get that is a disservice to them. It's a disservice to the people that need your medicine, right? And so if you sit yourself in the position of service and really get clear, and Amanda, you could even take, you might even want to take a couple hours and do this, right? Where you meditate, maybe you put out some of your jewelry pieces, you sit with it, and maybe you even journal or you voice memo it, and you talk about like how each thing is going to help someone, right? This is going to brighten someone's day. By someone giving this gift, this is going to a lot of people are going through a hard time right now. By someone sending this birthday gift to someone who maybe can't even have a birthday right now because of what's going on, this is going to bring them so much joy. Not to mention, there's going to be an amazing crystal in it that's going to bring them even extra benefits right now. You need to get so grounded in the benefits of your medicine. And when you get grounded in that, and you might have to keep doing it, right? You might need to keep doing that because the more you sit in that, the easier it is to sell, right? And I've been through that. Like even before all of this, when I first started my business, I was always so shy to sell. And I can tell you, the more over the years I know how much I can help people, the less I'm afraid to talk about it, right? So I'm like, hey, I know that if you buy my Spread Your Light business course, that literally there are people that have taken that course that said they learned more than they did getting their MBA, right? I've seen people like publish books and like go on to make 6 figures from taking that course. I've seen people, feel like seen and held and guided and feel like they had someone else that spoke their language around business from that course. So I don't feel bad about offering it. If someone can't afford it, they don't have to buy it. None of us are like twisting anyone's arm and swiping their credit card here, right? Like you're literally just putting it out there. You're saying, hey, for you right now that is sitting at home that has a problem or a situation that could be solved or uplifted by this thing that I offer, I just want to make sure you know about it, right? Does that resonate with you, Amanda? Is that helpful? And I think it is again, and then it's speaking from that place of service. It's asking who are your target clients, which you should be doing all the time, right? Who are my target clients and what do they need right now? And what they need right now might be different than who your target clients and what they needed 6 months ago was. So you got to do that check-in with yourself. Who are my target clients right now, right? My clients right now are the people that are like super being lit up to be light leaders in the world, right? And if they're not, then if there's a bunch of people that follow me or in my audience or whatever that are also maybe not those people right now, and that's fine. They're not going to go deeper with me on any of my things, and that's cool, right? But if I didn't open up, if I didn't, even with this Zoom Q&A, right? If I didn't like tell people about it like a bajillion times, right? Then people wouldn't sign up for it. They wouldn't even know about it. And it's the same thing. It's like, yeah, this may be free, but it's the same thing if I'm selling something, right? It's like there could be people that could be helped by the thing that you're offering that are not getting it, that are not even hearing about it because you're not putting it out there. So what tone should we be taking? Mike, elaborate.
Is it cool to talk?
Yeah, of course.
All right. Hi.
Hey, good to see you.
Congratulations on your engagement.
Ah, thank
Yay.
you.
All your past success. Long time no see.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, what, 3-4 years?
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah.
I'm so
Cool.
happy to see you on here.
Yeah, no, super excited. I know you don't really work with men.
I don't often, just because I had some experiences earlier in my career that
No,
were
I
a little
know, I know.
dodgy.
Yeah,
Uh, but for these, I open it up to anyone. And for like my courses and stuff, I open it up to anyone now.
yeah.
But anyway, let me know. So what did you say about tone? And also, we were just about to get to, if you want to explain what your win on your terms is.
Yeah, so I just launched my digital product called winonyourterms.com, the 5-step process for turning your inner critic into your inner coach.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's a super like accessible and affordable way for people to get life coaching.
Amazing. What's the price point?
$37.
Oh, and this is
Yeah,
your main product?
yeah, it's the flagship, and then based on like growth, then I would like move them through back end funnels. But yeah, in terms of front end funnel, I want the technology to be out there essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you're taking one-on-ones from that? Is that true?
I'm not that interested in one-on-one. I more want to scale.
Okay.
Yeah. So right now I'm creating videos, and I've created a bunch, and now I'm like editing them. And like San Francisco right now is the most unbelievable backdrop. Um,
So what
yeah.
about
So
tone?
so the question is, what is the videos? The videos are pretty intense, right? Because they're about like stress. They're about victimhood mindset. So I have to be able to talk about victimhood mindset in a way that like doesn't upset people too much. You know what I mean? But then there's this also like Tony Robbins self-help speak, but then every now and then I go into like little spiritual speak. So I just noticed myself going very like Tony Robbins, spiritual, motivational speaker, you know, your big brother, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
And here's the thing, you're noticing that, and I think this applies to everyone on certain levels with different things. You're noticing that because you are all those things, right? Because you're the combination of all the things, and you have your Tony Robbins moments, and you have your spiritual moments, and you have your big brother moments. And your audience is going to relate to you because of that collage of things. I would say you need to worry about being most authentic to yourself in any moment when you're sharing and when you're teaching and when you're putting yourself out there, because people are going to trust and you know, fall in love, so to speak, with you the more you are you. And so if any of those components is you trying to be something other than yourself for perhaps people because you think that's what people want, then like that won't work. But if they're all you, then by you just owning that, or if there's an iteration of that, if there's a version of those that you feel like is most of service right now, then you need to be unapologetic about it.
Yeah.
And the people that are not your people will fall away. And you know, and I think it's an interesting thing because, you know, there's different kinds of medicine for everyone right now. And you know, I had an interesting moment yesterday where I called up a couple other my friends who are also spiritual teachers, I guess, on the interwebs. And there was something that Glennon Doyle Melton posted. And I love Glennon Doyle Melton, but I really disagreed with her one post. I still follow her. I didn't like unfollow her or say like she's an asshole or anything like that. But she just had one post and I was like, I vehemently disagree with this. And she was telling people to cocoon and to not be productive and to like, you know, not try to like overachieve or work or self-improvement during this time. And I remember watching it and I had this reaction, and trust me, Mike, this all goes back to what you're talking but
Okay. I'm
I
following.
had
I'm following. I'm
I
gonna grab
had
my notebook.
I had this reaction where I was like, this doesn't resonate with me of being of service, because there are people right now who cannot afford to cocoon, who literally cannot afford to cocoon because
Absolutely not.
exactly. And so because their family's life dependence, because their my mental health, I can tell you, if I listened to her advice, my mental health would suffer, right? Because that doesn't work for me, right? And I'm sure there's a lot of other people that are trying to figure out how to support their families or feed mouths or homeschool their kids and stuff, that they're like, I can't roll in a blanket and watch Netflix right now. That's not an option, right? And so anyway, and then on the other side of it, right, me and a couple of my other friends, we're a bit on our high horses right now about, this is the time to like give your medicine to the world. This is the time to spread your light. Like, it's go time, motherfuckers, right? Like Joan of Arc vibes. And, you know, so I was contemplating, well, am I doing the wrong thing? Am I like a bad person? Right? And we're having this conversation. And what I realized after I was meditating on it, because it was perplexing me, was that right now she is serving a certain population. Like, there are people that are listening to her right now that need to hear that like that's what they're ready for, that's what their consciousness needs right now, and that's actually going to serve them and nourish them and have them release some shame right now. My energy and like some of the energy of my energy is a little back and forth, I think, like yours, where I'm like also like understanding and big sistery, and then I can have my moments where I'm like I'm like riding on my horse with my torch. But you know, but that's me, right? Me as a person, if you know me, oscillates between that, right? And so I think it's just trusting that your people need like your unique blend of this, and anything that doesn't resonate as helpful or true to you, you can squash. But I wouldn't worry about your tone, because if you feel like you want to, if you're like of service is Tony Robbins right now, you know, Brendan Bouchard is kind of going that way right now, where he's like, I feel bad for you guys that are watching Netflix, you know, like, why are you doing this? Like, yeah, you know, he's kind of like, but that's his truth. I look at that and I'm like, not, you know, I'm sure maybe some people are triggered by it, but I look at that and I'm like, that's just authentically who that man is, right? If his like work doesn't show you that that's who he is, right? And same thing with a Glennon Doyle Melton. If you look at that, I've read all of her books. That's Glennon Doyle Melton, right? And so I think it's just honoring whatever Mike is and how he feels, and how he feels is going to be most of service. Because if you're honoring that in your communications with your people, and then you also honor that in your methods of teaching, then the right people that want to work with you are going to get that. And I think when we worry about like how people, you know, people aren't going to like us, or like, you know, they're not going to resonate with it, or if it's going to trigger them, then what happens is you kind of end up like accidentally vanilla, you know, and people kind of like you, but they don't love you. Does that make sense? Is that helpful?
Yeah. Yes, it is.
Yay. Okay, Rebecca. Currently offering human design. I need to stalk you, Mike, too. I haven't stalked you in a while. Let's see what you're up to. Rebecca from Portland. Oh, we get 2 Portland peeps in the house. Do you guys know each other? You guys friends? Can you be friends now? Friend connection here. Currently offering human design readings. Oh, I love human design. And theta healing, also very cool. Considering offering an online workshop. Test time to sell when most. I disagree. I disagree that most people are feeling contractive right now. People might feel contractive on spending like tens of thousands of dollars, right? I don't think a lot of people are like gonna shell like that kind of level of money. But if you think about the amount of money people probably spent on Amazon, like, or spent on groceries, like, I don't know about you guys, but I spend a significant amount of money on groceries and disinfectants and all sorts of things, right? People are not like matching that, and your people won't be, right? So I think people are at home. People might be are looking for a connection, or looking for help with probably a lot of the feelings and things that are moving through, are looking for, look at all of you guys, like literally all of you guys on this chat, and there's much more than you, but even just this like example, all of you guys here in the middle of this are thinking about your business, because that's what you're called to do. That's because that's what your divine guidance is, right? And so I wouldn't say, I mean, maybe there are some of you on this call that can't invest in anything right now, right? But I would venture to say that everybody on this call on some level, whether it's the $37 product or it's the $1,000 product or whatever, if you feel like it really aligns with what you need right now and is going to be of great service, will open up your pocketbook. So your target audience. So once again, I think the key is going to be here, Rebecca. So human design, incredibly useful in learning how you process emotions, and learning how to listen to your intuition, and learning how to run a business. I love using around business. Also just a really fun, I don't want to say it's in a negative way, could also be a really fun, positive distraction, right? Could be, I don't know if any of you guys also were like me, like do this, but when I first started learning about astrology and human design and like enneagrams and all this stuff, like I just find it fun. Some people watch like things on Netflix, and I do things like that, right? And so a lot of people might be like that. So if you're doing a workshop and offering a low cost like online workshop, right? So maybe you charge, I don't know, I charge like $14 for my workshops, and people bought them. You know, you could charge whatever you want. Could be the 14, could be 29. Like you decide whatever, you know. I would equate to thinking if you were doing the workshop, that's kind of how I try to do it sometimes. I'm like, okay, if I was doing this workshop in like a studio, what would I charge people to enter the room, you know? So if you do whatever that is, it's probably around the $20 range or something like that. Then you get people that are interested in it. And I think a lot of people right now, especially at this point, are getting sick of their Netflix queue, are, you know, probably exhausted if they're doing work from home, dealing with kids, and doing something like that might be a really nice act of self-care. And if you can kind of, like we talked about in the beginning of the session, if you can try to bring it back down, bring it back around to the relevance of this time and how they could use it right now, then I think even better. Then even more they could see, okay, how do you know, one of the podcasts I did and the meditations I offered that I thought like got a good reaction was how to know your next steps, like how to tap into your divine guidance for your next steps, because so many people are kind of like, what do I do next? You know? Or like, what am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to handle this? So if you can talk to people, like, you know, about, you know, when you learn your human design, you also kind of learn how you receive your guidance in that way. I think there are a lot of possibilities how you can, I would test out a bunch, right? I would test out a couple different workshops that you record. And the fun thing about that is that once you do it, you get to record it and you can have it on your website. So think about maybe like 3 different workshops. Maybe one is like intro to human design. If you've been curious about human design, right? And you see like how many people are just curious about human design and willing to spend whatever it is to just learn about it and to learn about their design. And maybe if you get a small group, if you can offer that level of value and have people show you their charts and just give them a basic like, hey, you're a manifestor and you have a, you know, splenic authority, that's me, that, you know, this is what that means, and like give them a little thing and create those relationships utilizing the intimacy of the group if it's possible. And regardless, then you can, like this Zoom recording, obviously this is a Q&A, so I'm not going to like sell this, but but if this was like a regular workshop and I was recording it, I do all the ones I recorded, like my overwhelm workshop and my money workshop and all of that, then it goes up on the website. People can buy it whenever they feel like, if they want something to do. I don't know about you guys, but I love when I find someone that I really like. When I'm bored at night, I don't know, maybe I'm a weirdo because I don't watch TV. I haven't watched TV in years. But when I'm bored at night, what I do is I'll like buy people's like $14 online download and like That's my version of, I don't even know what TV shows people watch that right now. That's why I'm so out of touch. But, that's my version of it. I got to think that there are other people like me out there, and maybe there are going to be more as people kind of get over, get over watching movies or TV right now. Rebecca, was that helpful? Was that helpful? Do you have any other follow-up questions on that? Can't see your face. I can see your pretty picture. Okay, good. Yeah, and then I would say after your workshop, like we were talking about with the lineup, reach out to everyone that signs up for that workshop individually. And I know everyone watching Tiger King. I don't even know what that is, but should I watch Tiger King, Christy? Is it worth it? I've seen Diplo's kind of jokes about it, which entices me. But yeah, so I would think then use that, right? I think free, like doing cheap workshops right now, I think is a great, if that's applicable to your service. I think it's so smart right now, because you're seeing who's willing to spend like any money, right? Who's interested enough. I actually think there's a big movement for people doing free things. And I have a ton of free content, as all of you guys know, at the podcast and YouTube and stuff, but I like even charging people like $10 for things, $5 for things. It's just someone care enough about it to like put in their PayPal details or go to their wallet, right? It's not even really about the cost of it, really. It's just about, do they care that much to go through that barrier to entry? Because if they do, then there's someone that's actually interested enough to potentially go further with you. What platform do you use for charging for a singular workshop? So I have a whole school on Teachable because I have a ton of courses. So I do all my workshops through Teachable, which is connected to my Stripe. So it's just kind of like all a thing, and it goes through that. Before I had Teachable, I would do through PayPal. So through PayPal, what you can do is you can create a button. And so it's a little bit trickier. But what you can do is I'm pretty sure you could probably do this through Stripe and Square right now too. You kind of create little buttons or links that people can go to pay for it. And then what you can set up, oh, you just signed up for the Teachable plan. Perfect. Yeah, Teachable makes it super simple. You can even create coupons in Teachable. And so the cool thing about that is also that when they sign up on that, then you can send them emails straight away. You can even set up emails to go out. So whenever they sign up, they get a little email that says ConvertKit. I don't use ConvertKit, but also you could use ConvertKit as far as with emails. I use ActiveCampaign, but my friend uses ConvertKit, I think. And yeah, same thing, different price, same thing, similar prices probably, but the Kajabi is also a good one. It's pretty much Teachable, Kajabi, and Thinkific. I think Kajabi is the most expensive, and Teachable and Thinkific are about the same price depending on what you're using it for. All of them are, I think Thinkific and Teachable are about the same, just different aesthetic is what you can check out. And then Kajabi is a little bit more intense than both of them, but really great if you want to make that investment. And but I always used to say, listen, I started my business, and I'm a really big believer, like I was telling one of you guys before with the Palo Santo, just like make it simple, like decrease the barrier to entry for yourself, right? Like you don't need to like have the fanciest like setup to like sell a workshop. Literally, if you guys watch some of my first workshops, I was like recording on my laptop in like a dimly lit bedroom. They were so ghetto. And I like literally created a button on PayPal, and then it's like every single person that I got the notification for on PayPal, I would personally send them the email with the link to how to get to it. And then I would I would be doing it on YouTube live, and then I would embed that into a website page, right? So that they could watch it, and I just send them the link to the back end website page that had my YouTube live on, or had the pre-recorded workshop on it. Like I did it all manually. personally. I'm not saying that I advise that, but if you're at that stage of business, do it. If you can afford, like, if you have the time to like do that, and it's gonna, like, at the time, I'm not a naturally tech savvy person. I've learned a ton of tech by doing this, but so that was a huge barrier to entry for me. And I was like, well, I'm not gonna let that stop me from hosting my, $15 meditation 101 course, and and so I am a highly yeah, Shannon, yay, you probably did. But and you know what I think? I'm not, even to this day, there are people that we just took them off the website because I just hadn't even realized they were still on the website and people could still buy them. And you get emails from people that buy those workshops that tell me they got so much value from that, right? Because at the end of the day, when you're watching something right now, I get so much value. It doesn't matter that, like, I'm not in like a TV studio right now, that I don't have like perfect lighting. Who cares? It's really the value. And a lot of times people fall in love with you more when you're real, right? People are signing up with you because they're not going to Reese Witherspoon's like mindfulness course, or I don't know what she was being or whatever, right? Because they want you because you're a real person they can relate to. And so that's okay. Don't like box yourself out if you're not a ninja. Oh, appreciative. I can tell you, like, I've been it's taken a lot for me to not relaunch Appreciative right now, because I think it'd be really great. I can't promise I won't do it in some form, but I got a lot on my plate right now. But I miss Appreciative a ton. I miss Appreciative a ton. Appreciative was my membership program, my spiritual gym membership. For any of you guys that weren't members, we would do weekly workshops, and I'm like missing that community a ton right now. Let's go back. Who did I miss? And if anybody has other questions, I know we're going over, but I don't care. I have nothing else going on tonight. So if you have any other questions, feel free to put it in the chat. I'm here for you. And this one's recorded, so hopefully all the people that won't get mad at me for messing up yesterday because of all the value here. People are just so much more open to spiritual and mental tools right now than they usually are. It's so much your time to be a teacher in another way. I mean, you'll know if that's true, but I am a multifaceted teacher. And I think that's an interesting thing. That's just kind of going back to what we were talking about with Mike, and just in general about kind of owning what your unique kind of sauce is. I am, I light up so much. I teach A Course in Miracles. And I just did that before this, and I love that. And I think if you've followed me over the years, I oscillate between the spiritual and the practical. And I think both of them are really important. So I think my spiritual lessons are obviously incredibly important during this time. And I also just know how important it is right now for me to help other light leaders get going, because I've been really lucky to be like 10 years ahead of the game on this. Like, I've been really lucky to like have this going for so long, and I've learned so much by my own journey that I don't think it's an accident that I'm in the position I am in right now with what's going on. And so I also feel equally but different lit up in being able to help mobilize as many people as I can right now and get them offering their services in the world, because it is because I think that's part of it too. And if any of you guys, has any of you guys on this chat? Maybe not. But I will say, for those of you, well, I guess you guys have been in my courses, this would work too. But to work with me one-on-one, you know that we go deep. We go deep both ways. We go deep in the spiritual, and we also get like ninja and strategic as fuck. But exactly. Well, but yes and no. So you said I have 200 followers, so it's about getting my service out to a wider audiences. I would say it's also about making sure that you're serving those 200 at the highest level. This numbers game is an illusion, guys. hate to break it to you. I know it's probably easier for me to say that because I have some numbers behind me, but the numbers are illusion. Okay. And the truth is, you can have a successful business and you can be of tremendous service. If you have 200 people and 100 of those, like, buy something from you and are changed by that, or do a session with them or be changed by that, that's creating more impact than I can tell you than a lot of people that have like 500K do. Right? I know I have a lot of friends with huge followings, right? And I can tell you that some of them impact millions of people, help millions of people, others not so much. And you can create a huge impact with who you have, and by creating a huge impact with what you have, it will grow. It will grow. One of the things I'm doing right now, and maybe I'll make it available to you right now, but I highly recommend, if you guys, for those of you who are spiritual or inquisitive, the Teacher's Manual of A Course in Miracles is a really good spiritual handbook for this time and for being a leader and for offering your services. It also is a really good spiritual handbook for growing your audience and trusting the growth of your audience and attracting clients from a spiritual, energetic perspective. That, and one of the things that Course in Miracles teaches is that when the teacher is ready, the students appear. So the more you start showing up as a teacher, the more the students appear. And the one thing I will tell you, I could give you guys some, and it looks like we don't have okay, I just want to make sure I'm getting there, but okay. The one thing I can get into more like growth tactics or whatever. If you guys want me to go there, let me know. But I will say one of the biggest things that I remember I did, and I distinctly remember doing this. I don't know. I honestly don't know what got into me. It was like I hit my rock bottom. I was having my spiritual awakening. I was like, it was almost like I had nothing to lose. So I was like, who cares if anyone thinks I'm insane? And when I started on Instagram, I don't remember how many people I had. Obviously, I had like a couple hundred, maybe that, right? I just started talking like I had thousands of people following me, right? I just started literally, and it would take you guys so long, so I wouldn't advise you wasting your time, but I promise you, if you really wanted to waste your time and scroll all the way back to when I started my Instagram, you will see that, and you'll get a good chuckle. There are some horrifically lit photos of things that are not very attractive, where I'm literally like pretend, like there are some like, oh God, there's this my certain members of my family will still not let me live down this like quinoa mac and cheese I made that looked like mama in a cup. And I posted about it and pretty much pretended I was like Rachel Ray. And, and I still to this day get made fun of for it. And there's a ton of posts like that you will find if you scroll deep enough on my Instagram or even on my YouTube. But I'm literally sharing. There is a video on my YouTube. This is so hilarious, but I hope this inspires someone or helps someone get out of their own way. Where literally I'm in the corner of my tiny bedroom, past dusk, like this with the phone, and I have like a lamp that I took off the lampshade on next to me to try to light me, and I'm giving tips on how to stay mindful at a barbecue. Okay? And I'm talking like I'm like a reporter on ABC News. Okay, and and this sounds so silly, but when the teacher is ready, the student appears. When you start realizing that who you have right now is enough, the people listening to you right now are enough, and you claim your power as a teacher, you claim that you have a gift and you have expertise, and you can share that with them, people will start following you. People will start seeing you in that way. I literally look cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs in one of these YouTube videos, and I kid you not, that's how I ended up. I don't even know how many of you guys know I was on a TV show called The Taste with Anthony Bourdain, right? That's how I got on that show. It was the ghettoest YouTube video literally in my apartment, where I didn't even know how to cut anything. So I was doing it on Photo Booth, the app Photo Booth, the like basic app that comes with your laptop, on a bunch of stack of cookbooks, and I lined up everything behind me, and I went from one thing to the other, and again, pretend I was like Martha Stewart, and I ended up getting a call from ABC. And they're like, you seem really fun. Like, we love what you're doing. I'm like, I don't know. You watch my videos, you know? And, and that was the same thing. I got a lot of my earliest clients from some of those silly videos where, once again, I was literally like in a corner of my bedroom with like a really awkward setup and like really bad lighting, but pretended like I wasn't. And that's how I got all my first health coaching clients too. They were like, because I owned my authority, right? Like, and the truth was, as kind of, you know, ghetto or MacGyver-esque as everything around me was, I was sharing the stuff I did know. I was like, hey, I may not know a lot, but I know how to be mindful at a barbecue. And that's what I'm going to teach you today. You know, I know how to, like, I did one video that I also, my friends love to tease me about, which was like, how to, like, it was like, I would never use these words today, but it was like, how to stay skinny while socializing. And, and I was like, literally my tip, this was my big tip. My big tip was have seltzer with a lime in it. That was my big breakthrough tip. Just have seltzer with a lime. Nobody will know it's not a gin and tonic. Nobody asks questions. If someone asks you to share your drink, just say, I'm a germaphobe, right? Those are my big tips. But I like owned it. I was like, I got value to bring and I'm bringing it, right? And so I think that's a big thing, right? When you start owning your authority, when you start presenting yourself, the universe will conspire with you, right? When you're ready, when you stand up and say, guess what? I am a teacher. Guess what? I got things to share. Then all of a sudden people start looking at you and they start seeing a teacher, right? And they start seeing, they say, hey, let me share this tip for being mindful at a barbecue with my girlfriend, because I know she's got a bunch of barbecues coming up and this woman knows what she's talking about, right? Let me share this tip for being mindful with my friend who's been anxious all week, right? And so that's part of like the organic strategy. And I do believe the energetics of creating a following really do involve you stepping up to be a leader. I am constantly asking myself, if I was at that next stage, like I think to myself, well, what if Cass, I was doing this before I had, so for a while there, I'd say for, I don't know, a few years, I would ask myself, okay, if you had over 100K followers, how would you act? What would you provide? What value would you provide? How would you show up on Instagram, right? How would you own that unapologetically, right? And even to this day, I think it's always good to think, like when I think about, I don't know, like a Marianne Williamson or a Gabby Bernstein or a whoever, right? Someone like that, that's a bunch of levels ahead of me, so to speak, right? I ask myself, okay, well, how would I carry myself in that position, right? And I may not always agree with like carrying myself the same way that person does, but I think, how would Cassandra carry herself with all of that responsibility, right? How would that change how I act, how I interact, how I do things, the responsibility I held, what I felt a duty to share, right? So when you step up as a leader, when you own yourself you own being a teacher and an expert, that will shift massive things. When you give a lot of value, that also helps. And one of the ways, friends that use go, I just want to make sure I'm not ignoring anyone that's chatting in the thing right now. Okay, so we'll go into what sounds creepy, Rebecca? Is it the Tiger King or is it something else I said? Because I think Tiger King sounds a little creepy. Oh my god, that was a whole thing. Yeah, the like, yeah, these videos were disturbing. Those like earlier ghetto videos are so disturbing, and some of the pictures, like I look back at some of the pictures I took that I thought were like super artsy and inspirational, and I was like, this is horrific. Here's one of the things that, as far as growth tactics, so this is a good practical thing perhaps to end on. But I do think, like I said, for those of you that know me, if those of you that don't know me, with everything, my approach to everything is what I like to call practical magic, or the spiritual and the strategic, which is what I've transitioned into calling it, because it's the same thing, right? So you have to focus on the spiritual level and the strategic level. So I will be straight up with you guys. If you do the strategic around the growth tactics, but you don't do the spiritual level, which is pretty much what I just told you, like own that you're a teacher, own that you have a gift, like stand up with that responsibility, they won't work. It won't sustain, right? Because no one's following, like, that's not why someone would follow you for, right? Similarly, why it's unsustainable. What is part of being a teacher? I love this Spider-Man quote. I don't even know if it originated as Spider-Man, but I think that is a Spider-Man quote. I had that on my wall in my office for so many years before I just moved. But with great privilege comes great responsibility. No, I don't know if that's, how am I messing this up? But it's something like that, right? With great privilege comes great responsibility. With great power comes great responsibility, something like that, right? And so what I think of, right, is that the amount of influence I want comes with an equal amount of responsibility. And if you're willing to step up for the responsibility, then you will be given the influence. You can be given the influence. And one of the things that I have had this like a little sticky note on my desk for like since I started my business was show God that you are good hands to hold this, right? And so to get super spiritual on you is to the level of which you want to rise and grow, the level of which you want to be a leader in the world. Are you doing things every day that show that you're responsible hands to hold that level? Right? Because with the more people, the more eyes on you, the more responsible, the more impact you have, the more something I could say could help someone and elevate something, and the more something I could say to hurt someone. The more I literally, when all this, I will just be completely transparent with you guys on this because we're in this like intimate little chat right now. When this all happened, when like this quarantine and all this stuff started going down, I will tell you, I did not think it was an option for me to not show up. I did not think it was an option for me to not sleep a lot during the night so that I could manage to get out new podcasts every day to help people guide them through this, new meditations, new EFT, new workshops, put out things like this. I do not think I have an option, right? And some of you guys might disagree with me on like whatever, but truth be told, that's the level of seriousness I take my responsibility. I've been given a platform, and that is a privilege. I have a microphone, and I take that seriously. And I think because I do, and because I show up with responsibility is why it keeps growing. And because more responsibility comes handed my way. And so I think that's the bonus. That's the balance of it. We all want 1 million followers or whatever you want, right? We all want a bajillion customers or whatever you want, but are you showing that you could hold that, right? And some of those things we talked about are actually ways of holding it. Like responsible ways of holding that is when someone finds you to be able to sign up for maybe a free intro to something and learn about whatever your medicine is, what your specific thing is, right? A responsible way of holding that is being able to easy and almost brainlessly guide them to, if they need the next more intense step of that, show them what it is, right? A responsible way of holding that is to look at whatever your service is or whatever you're going through right now in the context of the climate and share that with them. A responsible way of holding that is saying, what is my gift right now? And even like, let's use the Amanda example. My gift right now is I make beautiful, magical AF jewelry, right? How can I utilize that medicine right now? How can I show people how to use that might not realize how powerful that could be for them right now, right? That's part of the whole responsibility package. And so when you're owning that, then what you can do, some quote unquote growth tactics or whatever, would be going out there and integrate and engaging with your community. So that looks like finding like-minded people in your space at your level to do Instagram lives with, to share content with. If you have 200 followers, find someone else that has like 200 to 500 followers. Maybe let's say you do green smoothie recipes, that person does meditation. You're like, hey, I see your audience is all mindful. I can share with you this recipe that would help them as part of their morning ritual after their meditation. And maybe you could give me a meditation for well-being because that's what my audience, right? And you swap with people and you grow that way. And people don't want to do that, right? Because they're like, oh, I want to spend my time emailing all these people that have thousands of followers and trying to get them to post my stuff, right? Which is honestly, unless you have some sort of personal connection, probably just a waste of your time, right? And honestly, not like we were talking with the thing, it's not a fair ask too, when we think of the bargaining thing, right? But you can grow so fast by you actually sharing with, because here, you have 200, they have 200, maybe you both get an extra 50, now you have 250, right? Now you got 25% more followers, right? And you can share, and what you're doing, you're also pollinating your medicine with different audiences while you're doing this. And you can do that with lives, going, live with people. You can do that with the offering of information like that. That's why also, if you have a free guide, if you're in Facebook groups, or if you see other people in like parallel communities, right, that you think could be of service to that, then be like, hey, I have this free guide. I don't know if you want to offer it to your community. If you have something free, I'll offer it to my community, right? If you're in Facebook groups, just offer it to Facebook groups in your ideal audience. Be of service. Be the leader. Be the teacher. Give your gifts. Another thing you can do that I recommend is thinking of the people, think of your ideal clients, and think of who they're following right now. Who are the like quote unquote celebrity people in your lane right now, who they're following right now. And if you got some extra time, and I will say this, when I'm in a season of growth, when I want to focus on that, which I haven't really been in because I'm focusing on creating too much content right now. But in my earlier days, when I was focusing more on growth, what you would do is you'd go to one of these leaders in the field, right? So let's say you go to someone that talks like that's similar in vein to you, or that's someone that would like what you're offering, also probably follows. And you look, okay, let's talk about let's say you're a fitness instructor, right? And your target audience would love Jillian Michaels, right? They watch The Biggest Loser, they love Jillian Michaels or whatnot. That's your audience. Then I would be following Jillian Michaels every day when you can, looking at, the videos she's doing and what people are asking questions about in the comment section, and answering the questions that she doesn't answer. Give value, right? Because here's the thing, the leaders in your field, chances are their followings are so big. These are people that have millions of followers. I still pretty much answer all the comments. But if you look at someone that has like a big following, like, maybe it's even Dr. Oz or whatever, given his like, whatever his advice, right? If he's talking about something that's relevant to you, and then there's a bajillion people asking questions in the comments, go through the comments. Give value to the people that are asking things that could be relevant. Think about, it's also a good strategy just to know who your audience is following. Same thing. So I would pick like 5 of those people for your audience members, and every day check in and see where you can answer some questions that maybe they've ignored in the comment section. Because now, not only are you getting a follower, but you're getting an active follower. You're getting someone that actually, probably wants to sign up for your free thing, is actually pre-qualified, like interested in what you're doing, right? That's important. And yeah, I will say, it's like, if your organic growth is not fast, sometimes you get someone that reposts your stuff. I mean, I would, these are other things you can do, right? If someone, let's say with a bigger following than yours, posts something that's of value to you, and you share about it, right? And maybe you share a thing tagging them saying like, hey, this is the value I got. Like, for instance, I'm just going to say, any of you guys that take a picture of the Zoom right now and share about like one aha you had tonight, I'm 1,000% going to repost everyone, right? And so if you think of all the opportunities you have, could do that, right? Let's say you read someone's book and you're like, hey, I just read this book and like I got this big aha on X, Y, and Z, and you tag the author, right? And it's relevant, obviously it has to be relevant. You want them to have audience that would make sense, that would also like you maybe, right? Then all of a sudden you're letting them know a little bit about you, also then like kind of giving some love to someone else, right? And then that's also a way to get yourself out there more, because people love reposting other people. It's easy content for people. And especially if you're giving someone love, you're saying, hey, I read so-and-so's post today. You know, so-and-so posted this quote today, and it made me think X, Y, and Z, and da, 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 and give some value to your audience with that, right? And now maybe they'll repost you. The other thing that I would think of is hashtags. Thinking of, this was like old school, how I started growing my following when I first began, was looking up what are the hashtags of the people that I think would serve me, like that, not would serve me, would want my services, right? That would relate to me. So again, you might look at the people, you might look at if one of your people has like a hashtag, right? I don't even know if Jillian Michaels has a hashtag. I was using her for example kind of randomly. But like, I don't know, if someone has like a hashtag that they like maybe Danielle Laporte, I don't know if she has a hashtag, but maybe she has like a hashtag desire map, I would assume, right? So if you're like, oh, my people probably love the Danielle Laporte, right? They'll be super aligned. So maybe I always check the desire map hashtag, right? And I like people's photos and I comment and I engage in that community. And maybe even follow some people. Don't do follow and follow, because that's just like a douche move. But like, you can follow people, like follow people that, like, I follow a bunch of people that are not, you know, that are like spiritual people that don't have big followings, that I just find interesting with the content they're putting on, right? They seem like a cool person. So maybe follow some people in that community too. Think about it as a community, right? And so if you think about these social medias as like a community, and you start showing up as the leader, you start showing up as a teacher, right? And that's why it's important to also make sure, does your Instagram bio and Instagram presence look like you're a teacher? Look like you're giving value? Does it present you as an authority? Because that's part of it too, right? If this person is following you, you want someone to at a glance kind of know what they're going to get, right? You want them to be, you maybe have 60 seconds when someone discovers you maybe on someone else's story and is like curious, right? Clicks on it. You have like 60 seconds for them to decide whether or not they're going to follow you based on what your bio says and based on kind of, you know, maybe what your first couple posts are. So at least make sure that your bio is super clear about like what your either your expertise are as your value prop, you know, and it essentially is going to attract the right community members. Does that make sense? Okay. All right. Well, if anybody else has any last burning questions, I'll answer that. But I feel like I gave you guys a ton tonight, hopefully enough to marinate on and get to some busy work in quarantine. And and don't let anyone make you feel ashamed for wanting to be productive right now, or wanting to shine your light, or wanting to grow your business, or like each and every one of you guys has gifts to give. That's why you're here. Like, started your business because you have a passion and a love, and you know it can help people, and you're being activated to go bigger right now for a reason. It's not because you're greedy, right? It's because you know the amount of help you could give, how you can provide services at a larger level when people need more than ever right now. And so I would just honor your inspiration, honor your guidance, go forth and honor your own flow during quarantine. Because if you haven't listened to it, I did a little podcast called It's Time to Rise Up, for all those people feeling called. I would listen to it if you're feeling called, and just go with it. Like, it's time to step up. It's time to be a leader. And then for any of you guys that are curious, I'm doing a discount on my Spread Your Light course right now to make it more accessible to everyone. I'm giving like $1,000 off of it. And of course, I'm taking on a few more one-on-one clients if you're curious about that. I usually don't open those doors, but because of everything that's going on, and I just really feel like I'm meant to literally, I just get these visions. I feel like we've gotten so close on this, I can tell you all my crazy stuff. This is like how my clients get to know me. But I get these visions of literally like, I'm like leading like a light army. And so I just need to like help everybody get on their horses right now. And so if that feels like you, if you need help getting on the horse, let me know. And if it's not, that's totally cool. I'm so glad that you all got to come on here and jam with me. It was so nice to meet you guys. Thank you for your evening. And I did record this, so I will send you guys all the recording. Bye, guys.